It wasn't bad. They got the win. They did what they had to do.
Yep.
I didn't like the fact that they turned the ball over as much as they did, and the ball handling responsibilities of Devin Booker, I thought, were a bit much of him and KD. So it'd be interesting to see.
He had 6 turnovers himself.
They had to handle the ball too much. And these are guys who are great at playing off the ball and getting their buckets that way. So it'll be interesting to see when Bradley Beal comes off an injury, if he can be that facilitator, or do they need to go out there and get a point guard? I'm not sure, but
maybe.
Down the stretch, what I saw from Booker is what I expected. A guy who can handle the ball, who can make the right play, who can find the open man, who can make big shots. But this is not the team we're going to see down the road as they develop their chemistry, as they get Bradley Beal back.
Yep.
But it was a great win, despite the fact that I thought they played poorly. KD wasn't KD, obviously. I mean, he shot 7 for 22, 18 points. He rebounded well.
Yep.
He had to do everything, though. He had to play 1 through 5 positions, so he could have been worn down as game one. But from the start, I like it that they grinded out the win and found a way to win.
Look, and Paul hit on a lot of the same things. When you talk about KD shooting 7 for 22, only 18 points, he didn't shoot it well at all. You could tell his rhythm was off to some degree, and it is the first game. Yeah. Right, the first game. Plus, he goes to Golden State, first time back at Golden State in quite some time. They give him the whole, the big screen, honoring him for coming back, all of those sort of things. So I'm sure there was some emotion in his mindset at that point in time, looking across, seeing some of his former teammates and going up against guys. So some of that probably played in how he was playing throughout the game. But then when you start to talk about the chemistry on the floor, a lot of turnovers, but they're trying to figure it out. No Bradley Beal. Like Paul said, who's going to handle the ball? Who's going to handle the ball in crucial situations to facilitate? We've seen all three of these guys, whether it's Bradley Beal, KD at some point, or Book, be able to do this in the NBA, handle the ball, but are they going to be willing participants on a full-time basis to take a step back from being a scoring machine? Because you got 3 elite scorers out here, 3 of them. So usually when you have 3 elite scorers, that becomes problematic because somebody is going to get left out at some degree. And so I think they're still trying to, and you got a new head coach, so they're still trying to figure everything out. I still like what I saw. I don't think people give Golden State enough credit because they're older and they were struggling shooting the ball. Clay was struggling shooting the ball, and so Draymond didn't play. And the first thing people say is, well, the Warriors, they may not make the playoffs, so the Warriors going to finish it last. No, but that's how people look at it and not giving them enough credit to say, hey, first game, they too are in a development situation to try to figure out this new chemistry with Chris Paul. Chris Paul, it starts the game, then he's like the lead dog on the second squad. So they still trying to figure all that out as well.
You know what I didn't like, though? It looked like with the Golden State Warriors, it looked like they adjusted to Chris Paul more so than Chris Paul adjusting to the Warriors system. You know what I'm saying? Like, they ran a lot of pick and roll.
I don't know. You have to tell me, Paul, does he fit their system as constructed in the way that they're running it?
I think he needs to be on the second unit, to be honest, because when Draymond comes back, we're used to seeing Draymond be the guy at the top, dribble handoffs, finding guys on fades, bounce passes back door, facilitating the offense. And I don't know how well that works with Chris Paul in the starting lineup. So I would like to see him when Draymond comes back, move Chris Paul to the second unit to where he can run his sort of pick and roll style of basketball that suits him more than being with the first unit who's more backdoor cuts, fades, down screens, dribble handoffs, because we didn't see a lot of that when Chris Paul handled the ball. Okay,
but is Chris going to be happy with that? Is he going to sit still for being on the second unit?
I mean, look, you coming into a situation, you're coming into a dynasty, you're coming into a team with a culture that you're trying to get adjusted to. So you got to make sacrifices when you get to the age of 38. When you're on the down slate of your career, you got to do things different. You got to get out your comfort zone. That's just what it is. I mean,
is there something wrong, though, starting and playing with the first unit for 5 or 6 minutes? And is there something wrong with that, Skip?
Well, that's what Steve Kerr is trying to have it both ways. I'm going to start him, but then I want him mainly to focus.
But he's also starting because Draymond isn't there too, right? I mean, that may be the case, but is it so? I don't necessarily. You would have to tell me, Skip and Paul, because I don't necessarily see anything wrong with giving a guy 5 minutes with the first unit and then when you put the second unit in, now allowing him to go with the second unit if in fact the second unit is doing what they're supposed to do with him on the floor.
Maybe. All right. So yesterday, Paul made the point that this team, Golden State, is one injury away from missing the playoffs. Because if you lose one of your key pieces, they're just not deep and talented enough to overcome that kind of loss. So I buy that. And I did push back against you yesterday saying don't sleep on this team because you still have a lot of distance shooting firepower. You got the two greatest tandem shooters in the history of basketball. And yet you see what happened last night. Once again, they live and they die by the three the way nobody does. That nobody in this league lives and dies more than they do from distance. So what did the starters do last night? Speaking of Chris Paul being a starter, the starters combined to go 7 of 34 from three. You're going to lose your home game if you do that.
He was 0 from 6.
Yeah, he was 0 for 6. And in the fourth quarter, Chris Paul did get to play with the starters, and he went 0 for 4 from 3. Well, it's killer because the home crowd detonates, as you know, off the threes. And when I'm looking at the starters, my God, Clay got off to a horrendous start, and he wound up 3 of 11. Steph wasn't much better, 4 of 14. And as you said, Keyshawn, Chris went 0 of 6. And even Wiggins tried 3 threes and missed all 3 of them. You're going to lose at home. If you make 4 or 5 of those, you're going to win this game because it went to the wire. It was close. And then, to your point, I pushed back against you yesterday about Devin Booker running the point. Can you get away with it for 82 games and then a big playoff run with him having the identity crisis of, do I shoot it or do I pass it? Okay? So to your point, the offense is running through Book, completely through Book. He's going to have the ball in his hands.
But is that going to continue?
I don't know.
I don't like it for all game. I like it down the stretch more so for Book. They have to have somebody relieve him of the ball handling duties. You know, he shouldn't have to do it all game when he's in the game because he's such a great scorer. He can do it for stretches, and like we saw down the stretch of last night's game. So that's where you really like when I played, I didn't handle the ball most of the game, but down the stretch, I had the ball in my hand and run pick and roll to make plays because I could shoot the 3 mid-range and find guys. So that's the role I like Book playing. So they have to find a guy who could be a better facilitator throughout the course of the game so where they don't end up with 19 turnovers because Book has 6 of them.
He had 6 turnovers. Okay, so down the stretch, at home with that crowd on the edge of its seat, again, it's 13-8 over the last 5 minutes in favor of the visiting team. And Kevin Durant has nothing to do with this. He goes quiet in the second half. He was 2 for 9, so he was no factor down the stretch of this game. And yet, Golden State has 6 3-point shots, and Steph made 1 out of 2, and Chris missed all 3 of his, and Clay missed his. So I'm just trying to make the point. This team is going to go as the threes fall. And if they make a couple of those, we're having a different conversation and say, what a big upset this was.
No, you are having a different conversation. And this, in my opinion, that 3-point shooting woes is an outlier. This is a one-off for them. They're 2 of the greatest shooters in the history of the game, if not the greatest. They're not going to all of a sudden forget how to shoot the basketball. Chris Paul is not a 3-point shooting guard. He's a facilitator. He will not be taking 6 shots at the 3-point line in Golden State's units. You can't see that happening with this unit. It goes through Curry, it goes through Thompson, and then every now and then Dre will, put up a couple. Chris won't be sitting there shooting 6 3-pointers. He just won't.
You know, another one of my concerns is the Golden State Warriors scored 40 points in the third quarter. 40 points. That's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points.
For one quarter. Then they scored 18 points in the fourth quarter.
Ridiculous.
I mean, they have the oldest backcourt in the league with Chris Paul starting. They have the oldest front 3 in the league when you combine Klay Thompson, Chris Paul, and Steph Curry. You know, Chris is 38, Steph is 35, and Klay is 33.
So you think the legs get tired?
I think maybe they get tired, and that's why losing Poole, a guy who can shoot the 3, who is a young legs in there, is going to wind up hurting them, especially late in the year.
Okay, but I don't think they wanted to do Poole and Draymond.
Poole in general, just his whole,
you could argue
everything that he was dealing with last year, his attitude late in the season. They probably just was like, you know what, let's just move on from that.
Okay. So the point is, Kevin Durant had his moments last night, but Paul, I told you yesterday I haven't seen that killer Kevin Durant since he went to Phoenix because he's deferring. He's like, to me, he's being unselfish to a fault because he's got Devin Booker and now he's going to have Bradley when he comes in. And it just feels like
He's always been unselfish.
No, but listen, there are times like maybe I'm hung up on Oklahoma City Kevin Durant, or even when he first got to Golden State, it was his. You could just see his attitude. Give me the ball and get out of my way. When it's time, I got this, because he was the MVP of back-to-back finals, and he was the reason that they went back over the top against LeBron and company.
Yeah, look, I've always seen him as an unselfish player to get everybody involved. And he's going to get his regardless. It was the first game, Skip.
Yeah. I'm talking about all down the stretch last year. He did not assert himself the way he used to.
Number one, Skip.
Booker stepped up.
Yeah. But number one, he had just got there. Number two, he got hurt. Number three, they came together at the end of the season and into the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can't knock him for doing it the way he did it in, what was it, 25 games that he played in?
Yeah.
That was it.
Keyshawn, I'm talking about Kevin bleeping Durant.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not. You trying to, when you got your toe in the water.
Saying, though,
no,
Kevin
but when
Durant,
you got your toe in the water, though, but you got your toe in the water, you're trying to understand a new environment in a new situation.
We saying with generational players, they come in and they make their territory known.
They just say, this is me.
I
own this.
LeBron, he go to Miami. Wade is there. He like, this is me.
He did.
We go to L.A. This
no, it
is
took
me.
LeBron a minute. It took D-Wade to pass the torch to LeBron to have LeBron say, this is yours. You go ahead and you do this.
This is KD. KD's a generational talent. Wherever he goes, they should take a step back, like Steph Curry did and Clay when he went to Golden State. I see what Skip is saying now.
It was a month.
Thank you.
1 month. The dude was really healthy to play
KD.
1 month.
That's KD, though.
Yeah, but he's trying to figure it out.
Nah, they figure it out around him. That's how that goes.
Man, I told you once already at the top of the show, I'm not going to argue with you because you played in the NBA and you're a Hall of Famer, so you know about basketball. But I'm saying as an athlete, you trying to understand your surroundings and get a feel for it. Now, if you're having this conversation with me 2 months from now, then I'm going to have a different take on it.
Maybe.
But as of right now, it's like one game, and then you point back to last year, it's like, dude was coming off an injury, a freak accident. Come on now.
All right, no.
Give him a break.
Okay, I'm saying this to motivate him because I started to wonder last year, is a little semi-retirement creeping into his game? Is he resting on his laurels? Because he went to Golden State when nobody thought he could, when the whole NBA world was waiting for him to fall flat on his face. Back-to-back finals, he took over, especially the game threes in LeBron's house. It was extraordinary, and he did that. And it's almost like, okay, I did that. And then he talked yesterday about he would like to have his number retired in Golden State. Well, he deserves, obviously, that would be great. But again, do you want to have your number retired in Phoenix also? Do you want to go make a statement?
It's one game, Skip.
It's a whole season.
It's not a whole.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.